We're going to talk about what to look for with a high mileage 02 to 08 Dodge Ram 1500. So first thing I'd like to do is, on high mileage vehicles, I'm going to do basically a check over, just like a purchase check. If I already bought it, which I've done, I'm going to go through it from one side to the other and work my way around, maybe take a few notes. So over here is where our battery is located on this Ram, and I'm checking for cables. I want to check for grounds that are corroded, frayed, see if a mouse is eating them. Our particular vehicle has almost 200K on it, so you know, this is what we got to look for. We could have had 3-4 owners, and we want to know what kind of condition, what kind of care this vehicle is taken. And we see our brake master, we have the levels located on the side. We want to look at that fluid. That tells us something too. When you see that rubber damper push down, that means that suction has pulled that fluid down. And check the condition out on that. You don't ever want to put dirt inside a master, but I can tell pretty much from looking at this, it's pretty dark. So I'm going to take a clean rag and dip it down in there and see if I can get a sample on my rag. See, it's got a golden tinge to it. If I was to have new brake fluid, it would almost be a clear on that rag. So a brake flush at this point is something I'm going to put on my list to do, because when it turns different color, it has moisture in it. And what that does is contaminates the rubber in the brake system. Caliper seals, wheel cylinders if you have them, flex hoses, and it breaks them down. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be out on the road when I lose my brake pedal. So I'm going to take a quick visual, look at my hoses, see if they're cracked. This one's new. Check my drive belt, check for cracks. That looks good, good shape. And then I'm going to check my coolant, because I'm coming right around here. Now the vehicle has not been running. If it has been running, obviously don't open the radiator cap. You can check it also in by the overflow. But my vehicle's been shut down, so I'm going to open it up. And I'm going to look at the coolant condition. Check the cap out too. Look for cracks, seals. And the level is right up here, and it looks good. It looks like orange, which this vehicle is. It's an orange vanilla-like color. It looks good. Radiator looks in good shape. Bring it right around, and I'm just going to look at my air box, make sure it's not broken. Oil. Now, you know that if you've been driving it, hopefully you've checked the oil out, or you had an oil change done. Vehicle is sitting. That's the best time. That's been sitting for several hours to get the true oil reading, because it's all drained back into the oil pan. Make sure it's all the way down. Let's pull it out. Let's look at this condition of this oil. So it is full, but it is dirty. It needs an oil change. I don't see any material floating in there. That's good. I would hear a knock, obviously, if I had a bearing problem. But high mileage cars, you know, you don't pay a lot for them, and there's a reason for that. So if you don't hear any engine noise, that's good. But do an oil change. I personally would use full synthetic on this, because it's an investment I made. It might not be 40 grand, but it's my investment. Let's check the tranny fluid next. On this 08 Ram, the tranny dipstick is to the left of the oil. Pull that right out. Now that's a good sign. See, that fluid's nice and clean. It's pink, it doesn't have a brown tinge to it, doesn't have a black tinge to it. I'm not checking the level so much right now as I'm checking the condition. That looks really good. I'm going to keep that in mind too when I raise it up and look up underneath. I want to check and see if it has a transmission repair done to it. Power steering, back over here. Power steering doesn't seem to be that important to people, but it is to me, because it's something that gets really hot. And if it's discolored, so this particular vehicle, you can put power steering fluid in or ATF on this Dodge Ram. And see, it's kind of like a brownish gold tinge. I think I'm not going to put my money into that right now. I'm going to drive it, but I'm going to check for leaks when I raise it up. One more thing I'm going to do before I go underneath it is I'm going to check for leaks, like gasket leaks. I'm going to expect minor seepage, like from valve covers and stuff like that. I hope not to find water pump or intake leaks. So with a flashlight, you can really take a good look at the valve cover up here. And remember, anything that has to do with fluid, no matter what anyone tells you, Newton was correct, gravity will always bring it down. So if you see oil on the top, don't think it's oil pan. If it's a gasket on the bottom really bad, it's not going up, it's top going down. That's the way it always is. So if you don't have a lift at home, which I'm sure you don't, you could use obviously jack and some jack stands. Before I go crawling underneath it, I'm gonna jack it up to a safety spot where I can feel the front end. So quickly just grab your tire on both sides. You're gonna do this so you can feel both inner and outer tie rod ends and ball joints on both sides. So I'm gonna go shake it back and forth at 9 and 3 and up and down at 6 and 12. I have no play in that, that's good. And I'm gonna check my control arm bushings. There's a new control arm in here, but I would be looking for rot or splittage and knowing that that should get replaced eventually. Make a list, go through it. If you're gonna invest in it, do the most important stuff first and the minor stuff last. That way you're not draining the bank. So once you're underneath, this is what you wanna look for on both sides, equals all the way down. So I'm just gonna do one side for you real quick. I'm at the front tire here and I see that the tie rod ends factory, still factory one on the outside. I got new links here. Here is the shock assembly. I'm looking for bushings right here. I want to see if they're split or rotted. That's a key on high mileage vehicles. It also tells you whether the vehicle sat around a lot or, you know, it was driven daily. Control arm bushings is another good thing. I see these split all the time, and that gives it bad steering going down the road, which you don't want. You want stability, obviously. Flex hoses, what we talked about earlier, brake fluid, if it's contaminated with moisture in it, which gets from the air, it will make these flex hoses swell. You also want to make sure they're not split or tearing because you'll see the white canvas. When you see the white thread, that's the inside part of that flex hose, and man, you got to replace that right away. That's a priority. We're going to walk down the vehicle and I'm going to look for frame. I want to make sure I don't have any frame cracks. Body mounts, make sure the bushings are still there and the bolts are. I've seen them rotted and missing, and that's not a good surprise when you buy a used vehicle. Leakage, so here we go. I see this oil pan and the transmission bell housing, this fluid right here. Is that going to be the oil pan or the rear main? Yeah, good way to test that is a rear main will leak after you shut the car off, not always when it's running. And this to me is what we call seepage, not leaking or pouring oil. In the industry, that's what we would say. So this is a seepage. I'm going with, more than likely, it's going to be the oil pan where it meets the back of the crank here going into the bell housing. Look for manifold exhaust leaks, freeze plugs, do a quick visual all the way down, transmission pan. Good news is that fluid was nice and clean, right? And that pan has not been dropped for a while. I can tell by the bolts not having any shininess on them, and the pan is covered in mud. Well, that's a good find, and that means this transmission's probably been taken care of. So before we go back any further, we're going to go to the front differential. And that is on this vehicle located right underneath the engine because we have four-wheel drive. So on transfer cases, differentials, most neglected items, I think, on trucks because people don't realize if there's no leaks, they don't think about it. If they tow, you need to change them. The intervals are sooner than later. They heat up faster and the fluid breaks down. On this one, we really have no leaks, as you can see. Little seepage here, but it looks like someone replaced the four-wheel drive switch, so that could have just been leftover residual fluid. On this 08 Ram, as you can see, here's the plug. Pretty easy to check. So you can use your thumbnail or you can use a flathead screwdriver, and we're gonna go in there and pop that boot out and check that fluid. So with a nice flathead screwdriver, I'm just gonna lift this up. Be careful because sometimes it will pour right out, especially if it's tilted at an angle, the way you jack it up. And I can tell already this fluid's gonna come out a little bit, which is fine by me because then I don't have to take the plug all the way off. Let's see if we can just get a little reading right here. So we know now from the way it's sitting that I definitely have fluid in there. That's good, it was just residual. So I'm gonna take my pointer finger and I'm gonna slide it in there and I'm gonna check the fluid level. Well, that's new, looks like new fluid. It's fairly new. See how the gold color to it? That's nice. If it was black, obviously that's overheated and bad. You also might find actual white foam in there. That's an indication that water has got into your differential. So the cover just pops back on. So you want to check your vent on this. Just make sure that it's not broken off. Maybe the people went four-wheel driving, submerged it in water. That's not a good thing, because then you have to take this whole cover off. You have to clean all of that moisture oil out of there and replace it. Check your seals at the same time. So now we can move on down and let's look at the frame all the way down. Our brake lines, steel lines, fuel lines. Everything looks good. It's always located on any vehicle on one particular side. So here we have all the nice factory coated brake lines and fuel lines. We have a little evap system. Looks really good. The frame looks good too for the year. We get some body rot. That's expected. I knew that when I bought it. Check the U-joints. And we can just keep going down both sides. We're looking. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. Then we get to our rear differential. And the flex hoses on the rear calipers. This happens to be caliper style. They look in good shape. The main flex hose that goes in to feed the back rear calipers. That looks good. A lot of times you'll see the metal up there very corroded and it'll be swollen. That's a priority replace. So midway down we have what we call a transfer case on a four-wheel drive vehicle. And on the truck, checking motor mounts, tranny mounts I mean. We're checking tranny mounts here. I'm checking for fluid leaks. A lot of time you'll have severe leaks between where the transfer case meets the transmission. This is nice and dry, but I want to know what's going on in there because this is one of the most neglected parts of a vehicle that is four-wheel drive. And you can tell by looking at this, these have not been out for a while. There's no leaks, so the fluid should be full, but I'm wondering if it's been overheated. So this is a 10mm Allen head. I'm going to break it in there, break it free. And this is where you would fill it and check the level. And this is where you would drain it. This is what we call in the industry a drain and fill. So this is really a great DIY job that you can do. I have a little catch pan underneath in case it's overfull. So the fluid level should be right about here on the inside. So you're gonna put your finger in and just bend it down a little bit and you should get some on your finger. Yep, there we go, look at that. Now that looks pretty good shape. It's very bright and vibrant. So this would be ATF is what they put in this. Probably a full synthetic ATF. Like on this Dodge, it would be Mopar 4 plus 4, which means it's synthetic. So you can get anything that's full synthetic ATF, and that'll work perfectly fine. I'm happy with that. That actually is a great find. It's kind of like treasure hunting when you buy a used vehicle of what you're about to find. That makes me happy because I know that this is very expensive to replace or repair, and I made a pretty good investment on it so far. And just snug it up. Don't want to over tighten it. No. Now let's move on back to the differential. So now we're at the back, at the rear differential. I've already looked for leaks. I don't see any leaks on the inside here. These are the axle seals. The backing plates would be covered in like an oil substance, and that's would need attention right away. Both sides are nice and dry. When I did drive it, I didn't hear any howling, which would mean a bearing inside that differential casing. There's no noises, so that's a pretty good deal. So here we have the rear diff. This has been taken off before, I can tell, because it's got orange RTV, which is usually aftermarket all the way around, but they did a good job by the looks of it. Front pinion seal's dry, cover's dry. Let's check the fluid level. Once again, a flathead screwdriver, just like the front diff. I'm just gonna pull it out slowly. There we go. Wouldn't hurt to check and make sure those aren't torn. Let's check our level. Once again, should be right about here. I'll just put my finger in, dip it down. Oh yeah. Wow, that's nice. That's beautiful. It's actually brand new. And it's right to the level it needs to be at. Gear fluid is not always the best smelling thing. It's a very strong, thick oil. And once you smell it, but burnt differential fluid, wow, you know if you can smell that, you'll smell it for a couple hours. And this is in nice shape. Makes me really happy. I think we did a good find here, and hopefully you did too. So last but not least, at the very end of the vehicle, we're going to check the spare, make sure we even have one. So we do have a spare. We have a full-size spare. Tread-wise, it looks good. It seems to be kind of firm, but I'm going to probably check my tire pressures anyways because I have been driving it. It seems to be handling fine, but you always want to check your tire pressure in your spare because if it's flat, really kind of useless. Also, which if you want to check out one other video on 1A, I do in depth about age of tires. That's a good thing to check out on your spare, because if it's 20 years old, if your vehicle's a 21-year-old vehicle or a 20-year-old vehicle, once you put that on, you get up to 15 miles an hour, it could just shred. So you don't want that happening either. But neither here or there, it's here, it looks good. I'm gonna check the hitch, because if I decide to tow with this, I wanna make sure this hitch is mounted correctly and not rotted. And we have a great connection here, typical surface rust that I'm gonna find on this age of vehicle, but it's strong enough and it's a good shape. I'm gonna ride right over to the electrical. I've got two connectors here. I've got just the regular 4-prong, which is corroded. I'm not gonna be using this, so that's gonna be way down on my repair list. But the 7-prong, 8-prong round connector, which comes with the factory, it's hooked up, the wire's looking great shape. And if I come out here, I can see the connector looks pretty good. I'll probably just clean that up with a little bit of file or wire brush, and I'll be ready to roll. So hopefully this video about high mileage vehicles helps you out, whether you just bought one, inherited one, or now decided to become a DIYer. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe. Ring the bell, that turns on all your notifications, and that way you won't miss a video.